Hello, hello, hello. It's another great morning here in Ohio, and you're sipping coffee with Spider and the news, because that's what we do. As per usual, I just want to remind everybody that if you have a question or a comment or a veiled insult, you can always drop the comment itself on this video when it hits on YouTube, or you can send me an email at uncannyspiritsclub@gmail.com. I have no feedback yet from anyone, and it's been well over a month, I think, that I started doing this. And no one has really told me how they feel, so I have to assume that you all love it. You have no disagreements with anything I say, and I will be shocked beyond reason if we encounter each other out on the street and you have a grievance. Okay? Okay. So in the meantime, let's do what we're here to do, and let's get to the news. Reuters says North Korea condemns attack in Syria. That's interesting. That is interesting. They are allies with Syria, if I remember correctly. They condemned hostile forces inside and outside Syria for a drone attack last week that caused many casualties in the country, and they called it a terrorist attempt to overthrow the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who, remember, we were trying to push out of power. The United States specifically was trying to push Assad out of power, or at least urge the international community to help get him out of power. And nobody really went with it. And he's still there because his people actually love him. The people of Syria don't have an issue with him. It's all the outside people that have the problem. So you can't really free a country that does not want to be freed. You know what I mean? But North Korea has lately been trying to draw attention to itself and remain relevant on the world stage, because it really isn't. And so here they are, sticking their opinion on things. So we'll see how that develops. WWG with some news that normally I'd be kind of excited about, but in this case I'm not because of the actual subject matter. Lego Fortnite set leaked. And you know, I like Legos, but I think Fortnite is garbage. So, half and half, I guess. 1 out of 2. But if you like either Legos or Fortnite and you're interested, it'll be on the way in the near future. Loudwire fans react to AC/DC's Power Trip Festival performance. Apparently it's been very positive. Apparently they're doing very well, which AC/DC has always done a pretty good show because they don't try to go out of their comfort zone. On an interview I heard many years ago, and I always tell the story because I like it. It's a short story. It's not real big. Somebody asked the singer, they asked him, what's the secret to your success with AC/DC? You guys just put out a new song and it's already like a #1 or something like that. And the guy said, well, what we really do is just rewrite the same song every time. But it's a good song, so people like it. And he's honest. At least he's honest. They don't try to do anything new with the sound. They don't try to change it up. There's day we're AC/DC. This is what we do. And I respect that. I respect embracing who you are without having to reinvent yourself every so often. Korn always tends to try to reinvent themselves with new sounds and things. And sometimes it works, and a lot of times it doesn't. Metallica has tried to do it a couple times. Filter has tried to do it once or twice. And I think they're returning to form. This cat agrees with me. But, sometimes it works. PBS NewsHour with an explanation why the U.S. is pressuring China amid a crackdown on the global fentanyl trade. Well, I don't think I need the news to explain it to me. It's because a lot of this stuff is manufactured overseas now, and China has a hand in everything. A lot of pharmaceuticals are now developed and imported from China and India. I saw a commercial today. I don't usually like to watch commercials, but this was on some streaming service for something that my daughter was watching or something like that. I think I don't remember, but it was some new medication. I don't even remember what it was for because it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that the name for it. You got two names. You've got the technical name of everything that was called because of how you constructed it, and then you have like the marketing name, right? Like Advil is basically ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is what it is. Advil is the brand name for the ibuprofen, which is then part of Bayer or something like that, right? But this was a name that was pretty clearly from India. So India is supplying us with our medicine now. And I'm not going to say anything one way or the other about that, but it's not surprising that China's in on that game. And that they'd be in on super hyper addictive drugs like fentanyl. KUOW Public Radio, small 4.3 earthquake gives Seattle area a little shake. So if you're in the Seattle area, you may have experienced a bit of an earthquake. And if there is any justice in the world, a certain particular little goblinoid out there will have gotten shook up a little. That's mean of me to say, but that's how I feel about that person. I get petty sometimes. PBS NewsHour. Governor Newsom from California signs a new law requiring big companies in California to disclose emissions. And this is kind of pointless. The amount of research and things to go into here, and you don't even know necessarily if you're right. If you're a big company, you've got so many different offices and so many different facilities and so many different things. I mean, it's a lot of extra work for not a lot of payoff. And I can see a lot of companies trying to fudge those numbers just to appease this kind of thing. I get what he's trying to do. I get they're trying to do emissions is the big thing for climate change right now. It's the big thing the climate people want to focus on. But the numbers, I think these people are going to start fudging numbers and it's going to just get murky and it's going to go nowhere. That's what I think. But who knows? Or they're just all going to start moving out of California so they don't have to deal with that kind of bureaucracy. Reuters. Saudi Arabia, other Arab states reaffirm commitment to voluntary oil production adjustments. And this is through OPEC, which I disapprove of because I disapprove of the level of regulation that they do on the oil sales because they fix the market. They fix the oil market. They'll arbitrarily raise and lower things based on what they see as market conditions rather than the actual demand, rather than the actual consumption. It undermines the entirety of the most basic economic system. It's just like completely goes around the understanding of how economics is supposed to work. Oil is the perfect example of this. It doesn't work according to supply and demand. It works according to a bunch of powerful producers or suppliers, which in this case is mostly large countries like Saudi Arabia, and they set the prices at what they think the prices should be, not based on supply, not based on demand, not based on much of anything, but how they feel. And it's hurting the global economy. And people have let it go on for so long that there's nothing you can do about it. It's a juggernaut at this point, and it's well entrenched. So we'll see. Reuters, Turkish airstrikes hit 6 Kurdish militant targets in northern Syria, according to their ministry. The counterattack has already happened. It's already happening in Syria. It's no surprise, just like with Israel and Hamas, that's happening real quick. And for anybody who's in that region of the world who might be listening to the show or any of my other content or any of the Uncanny Umbrella related content, I hope you're safe. I hope you're staying out of the line of fire. Good luck to you and to your country. NBC Politics with a clickbait headline. Biden's support of labor has imperiled support from the business world. And this is kind of a loaded thing because it makes it look like that the Biden administration is just all for workers and not at all for corporations. And that, which on the surface sounds like a good idea, but you have to, like, in order for corporations to have workers, they have to have their own guarantees and their own structures. And I'm not saying that they should do that at the expense of anybody or that we should allow them to do that at the expense of people working for them. I'm just saying that you can't force things to be unbalanced one way or the other. And unions, once upon a time, were vitally important because there was no other recourse for people against large corporations. But the thing of it is, unions over the years have become almost as bad as organized crime, like gangsters. You don't pay your dues, you get people at your door looking to take parts of your knees and things. It sounds like it's funny, it sounds like it's a joke, but it happens. The number of people that get killed and you don't hear about it every year, or for a while. It might have calmed down now. But the unions, they strong arm people. They force people into paying these dues and joining the union, whether you want to or not. And now they're trying to push you into these strikes with the auto workers and things like that with really unrealistic demands. And because there are now laws in place that are supposed to protect the workers by the federal government, I think the time is now to rely on those and to refine those and to tell the unions to shove it. And I'm sure there's somebody out there who's in a union who's going to be furious. And maybe they're going to try to knock on my door, try to bust my knees. Good luck, boys. My knees are already busted. And I got nothing for you to take. I'm not in a union. I'm not working for any place that has a union. You can't force me to do anything. You can't do anything to me other than try to appeal to your own sense of satisfaction. But I'll say it again. The day of the union is over. It's over. And yeah, and that's it. That's what I got about that. So what's next? WWG Call of Duty Warzone Mobile delayed again. Who cares? Call of Duty shouldn't be a mobile game to begin with. And Warzone is capitalizing on the lowest common denominator of people who play Call of Duty. But it's been a sinking franchise for a long time. And I don't say that. When I say that, people are like, oh, but look all the money that's made. There's no way it's a sinking franchise. People buy it. Yeah, well, the majority loves it. That doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't mean it's worth keeping around. That doesn't mean it's successful. That just means it's making money because people don't know any better. It's got a corner of the market. It appeals to the lowest common denominator, which unfortunately is the majority of people in the world. And it will continue to sell because these people continue to show up and pay for the same garbage every year. So I don't care that it's delayed. You might care, but I don't. It's worthless anyway. I'm in a mood today. You notice I'm kind of in a mood, feeling real cynical. Real cynical. Tweaktown. I always see these. It's apparently a legitimate news source, but I always see it and I'm kind of like, really? tweak down. But scientists confirm age of oldest human footprints found in North America. Let's see what the confirmation is, because I was watching this story. It says 3 separate lines of evidence pointing to the same period. So it's got a lot of stuff to back it up. So let's see what the age is. Approximate figure of 21,500 years, leading to the conclusion that humans were present during the last glacial maximum that occurred around 20,000 years ago. And that's pretty cool. They keep finding more and more evidence that some form of modern man has been around for far longer than we expected. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what else we dig up. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens the more we keep looking for this stuff, see if we can find more ancient civilizations than we expected. Because we keep thinking there's going to be hunter-gatherers and just little tribes here and there. And I think there were big civilizations that have come and gone over the years. That's what I think. I've seen a lot of compelling evidence. Can we prove it yet? Not so far. But there's a lot of good evidence. There's a lot of good hypotheticals and theoreticals and all that other good stuff. And I'm in for it. I'm 100% in for it. Let's see. What else? The Verge says, and this is interesting. I'm not into this kind of stuff, but it is interesting. Apple's next Vision headset might ship from the factory with prescription lenses. Now that's a step forward. I don't get into the whole VR headset thing. I'm not into VR. I don't like it so far. But as a person who does have to wear prescription glasses, were I to get into these kind of things, it would be so much easier to have something that has prescription lenses in it than to have to worry about how my eyes are going to react to one of these headsets without my glasses on. Because it's impossible to wear these things if you got glasses. Pretty much impossible. No matter how comfortable and how much they try, it doesn't work. So I think that's a great step. As much as I'm not a big fan of Apple products, I do like that decision. And I hope everybody in that industry goes that direction as well. If it's confirmed. It says it might ship. Doesn't mean that it will, but I think it'd be a great idea. I endorse that 100%. PC Mag says Elon Musk thinks SpaceX will land on Mars within 4 years. That's ambitious. That's very ambitious. But he's made some of these, big kind of ambitious predictions before, and they've kind of fallen flat. But at least, he's like I said, it is ambitious. He's got the dreams. And if he can stay in business with all this other stuff to keep the cash flow flowing, then we'll see how it goes. I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be cool. The trick is not necessarily getting to Mars. The trick is getting back from Mars, I think. Because right now, if you go, it's probably a one-way trip. So we'll see how they figure that out. Here's some funny news. KIRO7 News. 400-pound pig named Fred captured after brief crime spree. And that's funny. I'm not going to look up the article because that's one of those things where I think people want to read for themselves. But you can go to KIRO7 News and read about Fred and find out what he did on his outing. Reuters, Indian shares slip as U.S. rate fears and high oil prices hurt sentiment. Well, That's what happens. That's what happens when everything's too tied together in the global economy. What with the OPEC, like I mentioned earlier, and the United States still banging on with the inflation. They just yesterday, later in the day, they made a big deal about, oh, we added 300 some thousand jobs in all these industries. Oh, things are good and whatever. And they're basing everything on consumer spending and all this other stuff. The problem there is you're getting a lot of consumer spending because people have to pay more without much of a choice with the inflation. All the things that are really high right now are things like grocery food and gasoline and houses and things people need. It's not stuff people want, it's stuff people need. Those are where the prices are going nuts. And so you have to spend more money, and that's reflected in that. But it doesn't mean that people are spending more because they have more money. It means they don't have a choice. So they're having to use more credit. They're having to use more savings. They're having to get more jobs in their household than they would before to cover all of this extra spending. It's not rosy. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Reuters with some good news. Japan lifts tsunami advisory. No significant damage reported. Remember, I talked about a day or so ago about how Japan had instituted a tsunami advisory on certain parts of its coast. And it looks like that situation has resolved itself and everything's looking good. So congratulations, Japan. I'm glad for you and for everyone who may live there. Always good when stuff like that happens. Newsweek, Matt Gaetz confronted on vote for Trump. Blah, 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 blah. Man, I'm just all over the place. Let me start that whole thing over. From Newsweek, Matt Gaetz confronted on vote for Trump tax cuts that drove up deficit. And, they did add. And so I can't really say much about that. But the issue there also was it was an attempt to get people to naturally have more money, to spend more, to boost the economy, to attempt to get the deficit down. Now, would it have been successful? I don't know. We didn't have much time to find out, really. He was in and then he was out, and then that was it. And then the virus and all those other things, So we'll never know if those cuts would have been successful under normal circumstances, because we didn't get normal circumstances. And before him and after him, we had both Obama and Biden raising the deficit left and right. So, I don't know. Everybody raises the deficit. Nobody ever cuts it. Nobody ever cuts it. Makes me grouchy. The Belleville News Democrat with some food news. McDonald's brings back menu item many thought was gone forever. Let's see what it is. I hope it's better than corn, because corn is their newest side they've put out. You remember that just recently? Ugh, corn at McDonald's. Come on now. Anyway, no, I don't want to sign up for your newspaper. Let's see. Breakfast bagels. Breakfast bagels are coming back. Oh, yeah, the McRib is coming back. That's it. The McRib, again, is coming back. Big deal. It's not all that great. I don't know. I don't know what people go nuts about for. It's not all that great. I mean, it's just different. But it's not great. It is better than Taco Bell's Mexican pizza. Don't even try to tell me that the Mexican pizza at Taco Bell is any good. Unless all the ones in my area, every single Taco Bell, makes them badly. Which is possible, I guess. But unless every single one of them is making it badly here, I have to assume that the Mexican pizza is garbage. I hate it. Don't like it at all. It's always crap. So at least the McRib is better than that. And I know there's people out there now foaming at the mouth about my hatred of the Mexican pizza. They're telling me, Mexican pizza is the best thing ever. You just shut your mouth. Oh, wow. Opinions. We've all got them. But the McRib, yeah, if you want it, is coming back. What else we got? We got anything else that's really interesting? And not just the same old blah, blah, blah. More on this part from Reuters. Oil prices jump as Middle East violence rattles markets, of course. Anytime there's anything going on out there, they use that as an excuse to boost the oil prices. You see, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. Artificial inflation of the oil prices. PC Gamer says Arcane shows it hasn't given up on Redfall with a substantial new update, but it's hard to imagine a Cyberpunk-style turnaround is in the cards. And man, I saw the stuff when this was first, before it was released. I was kind of like, that looks interesting, but I'm not into squad-based multiplayer games. I'm just not into them. I played Destiny back in the day, had been super excited for it, and over the many years and the many changes they made to that game, I was so disappointed that I swore off Bungie games forever. I've never played Destiny 2. I'm never going to. Probably won't play any other versions of the game after that. It just soured me on that. And I've played other things. I've played Evolve. I've played, various other games, but I don't like that style. I just don't like it. So I skipped on Redfall, and it turns out I was in the right because there were so many problems with both the textures and the gameplay and everything, and it was just so badly done. And it's taken them so long to fix it, I think it's far too late. Cyberpunk took a beating when it first came out, and I remember I waited to pick it up until they'd improved most of it. But I had fun with that. But this one, I don't know. I don't know. Consequence of Sound. Judas Priest announced new album, Invincible Shield. And they kind of had to because a day or so ago, the album art leaked online, so people knew it was coming. But at least they went and got, they didn't deny it. They just got ahead of the news and were like, all right, yeah, sure, it's coming out. Here's the details. So if you're an old school Judas Priest fan, there's a new album on the way. And one final story from geekculture.com. Netflix renews Castlevania Nocturne for season 2. So I know some other people, specifically people like my co-host over at This Uncanny Earth, are going to be super excited because they're huge Castlevania fans and they thought it was well done. I haven't seen it. I'm not as into it, but I don't think it's bad. I don't have any negative opinions about it. But if you're into that, you will be excited because it is renewed for season 2. Who knows if it'll succumb to the Netflix curse, which is generally 3 seasons and then done. Netflix is fond of canceling shows after 3 seasons, even successful ones. This cat knows. He's talking all about it. So that's all I got. I think I could go for some grits. Some real buttered grits today. So if you got the fixings in your house, set me aside a bowl because I'd like some grits, maybe with some bacon grease, something real gross. Big old thick gritsy breakfast with butter and grease. I want it. So if you don't got the stuff, go to the store, get up early, get that, then come back. I'm going to be waiting at the table with my fork and my spoon, and I'll make coffee for you. How's that? I'll make the coffee while you're out. All right. I'll make the coffee. Just make sure your coffee maker doesn't give me a problem. Okay. Get the grits. We're going to be eating greasy today.